Hey everyone, here's what's coming up tonight on News Center Now. How far would you go for a potentially life-saving medicine? For the Thompsons, they drive to Canada.
So, somebody you don't know posts something mean on your Facebook page. Is it just some 50-year-old guy living in his parents' basement eating chips all day? Or is it a hired gun paid to troll you? Take a look at that tonight. This is News Center Now.
Good Monday evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Lee Nelson. We're glad you're with us this evening. As you may know, there is a big difference in the cost of insulin between the United States and Canada, and that's why a lot of people go north over the border to get the medication their lives depend on.
It was a story we told you about last night on News Center Maine at 6, and since then we've heard from a Maine couple who says they drive hundreds of miles to save hundreds of dollars, and it's their last resort. Paul and Annie Thompson are planning their next road trip.
This is July and we're already talking about, the middle of October.
Their fall drive isn't for foliage. It's for a medicine that could potentially save Paul's life. They'll drive more than 300 miles from Waterville, Maine to St. Stephen, New Brunswick and back. They've done this drive once before.
You have to, because, when your insulin's out, it's out. And,
You were down to that day.
That day when I went over to get it, I had enough to last me that day in my pump.
Paul has type 2 diabetes with type 1 tendencies. He and Annie will drive to Canada every 3 months for the foreseeable future to get the insulin he needs. Why? That road trip saves them hundreds of dollars.
It is a crisis.
The Thompsons are one example of people who have traveled to Canada for cheaper insulin. Without insurance, the Thompsons say they would have to pay over $3,800 for a 3-month supply. With Medicare supplemental insurance, it costs them greater than $600 for the same amount. In Canada, for a 90-day supply, the price was approximately $400 Canadian, just over $300 American. Senator Susan Collins is supporting a new bipartisan bill to roll back a decade of insulin price hikes.
What we've found is a highly complex, opaque system that is riddled with conflicts of interest.
The Insulin Price Reduction Act is designed to hold pharmacy benefit managers, pharmaceutical companies, and insurers accountable for surging prices of insulin by encouraging list price reductions.
It's about time.
Paul and Annie are hopeful this could be the solution to finding affordable medicine at their own neighborhood pharmacy. Until then, they'll continue to spend time to save.
It was so simple. I don't understand why I hadn't done it before.
So last month, actually, Governor Janet Mills signed new legislation to allow Maine to purchase cheaper medications, not just insulin, but all medications from Canada by setting up a wholesale importation program. It's similar to laws passed in other states like Vermont, Colorado, and Florida. This legislation, however, is subject to federal approval.
All right. Well, hopefully for their sake it works out, right? That was interesting. All right. Let's talk about the weather, shall we? Mr. Carson, right over there to my right. Oh, I'm sorry, we have this first.
But first.
I guess we do. Central Maine Power, a big topic of discussion for the Maine legislature today. The Energy, Utilities, and Technology Committee got some updates from regulators who are looking into complaints against CMP. Officials from the Public Utilities Commission and the Office of the Public Advocate briefed lawmakers on the proceedings related to ongoing issues with billing and customer service at CMP, as well as the company's request, of course, to increase its rates. More details from that briefing coming up on News Center at 6. And now,
I gotta tell you, I'm eager to hear this forecast too, because if we could just keep it how it's been.
I know. Perfect.
I guess we need a little rain every now and then, right, Keith?
Yeah, but we're okay. We're good.
Okay.
I'm surprised the pregnant woman likes the heat, because normally, I guess you're not like at that point when you're like right there, you'll not want it anymore.
Yeah, it's all right.
But,
I'm a trooper.
But then it'll be late September, so you'll be good. You'll be good. 89 in Sanford for a high today, 90 in Freiburg, 86 in Augusta. Oh, I got a question about this the other day. Why is there always a weird little cool spot here? Mount Washington. So it draws the contours around whatever the high in Mount Washington was. So obviously very cool every day of the year. Current dew points, 60s and 70s. I will say they're a few degrees higher, these dew points, than the models had perceived last week. So it's a little bit more humid. We'll see that again tomorrow, and it will be actually a little bit warmer tomorrow afternoon. We got a couple of clouds out there. It's been really kind of just a poofy cumulus kind of day, and a few of these have gotten vertical enough to produce some short-lived showers and thunderstorms. And you can see how quickly they die out here. So they call these pulse thunderstorms. They pulse up, they pulse down, and they basically rain themselves out of any instability. And they're moving out pretty quickly here tonight. So we get rid of those, and we're partly cloudy to mostly clear overnight. It's a pretty sticky night. You know, here we are at midnight, we're still upper 60s to around 70 degrees. And then by tomorrow morning, when we get to say 7 or 8 o'clock, we're already into the 70s. And according to this model, and I buy it, 10 a.m. will be in the 80s. So it's going to be a quick ramp up into the 90s for most of us by tomorrow afternoon. A very scattered chance of a shower or thunderstorm, and yet another warm and humid day on Wednesday, guys, before things settle down for the weekend. But overall, the next two are going to be hot. And by the way, you know, when we cool down this time of the year, still 83, 84 probably for the rest of the week.
Very good.
I'm not complaining.
I know. No comment. Thanks, Keith. All right, taking a look at some more headlines now. Investigators are still trying to figure out what led to a deadly shooting at the Walmart parking lot in Auburn over the weekend. Police say Gene Fournier of Turner was killed Saturday night after witnesses say an argument broke out with another man. That man reportedly shot Fournier. As of today, no charges have been filed. More than 100 friends and family gathered for a vigil last night. Some witnesses say the shooter told them he shot Fournier in self-defense.
Yeah, police say the gun and the car Fournier was driving are being analyzed at the crime lab in Augusta. An autopsy was done yesterday, the cause of death not being released just yet. Police say they hope to have an update on the case very soon, though.
Some national news now. President Trump signing the 9/11 victims compensation funding bill into law. That means funding for 9/11 victims and their families will continue until the year 2092. So essentially that makes it permanent. More than 40,000 people have applied to this fund, which covers illnesses related to being at the World Trade Center site, the Pentagon, or Shanksville, Pennsylvania, directly after those attacks. This is the law comedian Jon Stewart was pushing for, and we saw him be so vocal about for when he testified on Capitol Hill earlier this month.
The gas company involved in a series of gas explosions down in Massachusetts late last year has settled a class action lawsuit for $143 million. The explosions happened in the Lawrence area in September. Columbia Gas and its parent company NiSource announced the settlement today. One person was killed and more than 25 others were injured in the explosions. The courts, though, still must approve this agreement. Under a proposal being floated in Congress, the town of Wiscasset could collect more than $8 million for storing radioactive waste at the old Maine Yankee nuclear power plant site.
Yeah, Senator Susan Collins and Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois are sponsoring this proposal that would provide financial relief to communities that are stuck with this nuclear waste. Maine Yankee ceased operations in '96 after the company's board opted to close the nuclear power plant rather than invest in costly improvements. The federal government has failed to live up to its obligation for a building repository for the highly radioactive waste. 64 containers of highly radioactive fuel rods continue to be stored indefinitely at that site in Wiscasset. Still ahead on News Center now, an amazing story about two men with a growing connection.
Yeah, they started out as friendly competitors on the racetrack, but one of them is about to save the other one's life.
And don't forget to download our new mobile app. It's free on both the App Store and Google Play.
All right, we are back and we have a merger to tell you about tonight.
Drug manufacturer Pfizer is buying Mylan in an all-stock deal and combining the $10 billion generic pharmaceutical company with its own generic business. The Pfizer business, called Upjohn, makes a lot of very popular drugs, including Lipitor, Celebrex, and Viagra. Mylan is best known for its EpiPen, an injector used to halt life-threatening allergic reactions. The deal comes at a time when big drug makers are threatened by patent protection losses, lower-priced rivals, and massive lawsuits over the opioid epidemic. If your child has the sniffles, chances are your pediatrician will recommend an antihistamine over a cold medicine. Researchers from Rutgers University analyzed data from more than 3 billion doctors' visits between 2002 and 2015. Beginning in 2008, doctors were less likely to recommend the use of a cough or cold medicine in young kids. That is when the FDA recommended against its use because some may include opioid ingredients such as codeine. But there has been a 25% increase in doctors advising parents to give their children antihistamines to treat respiratory infections. Antihistamines are often used to treat allergies, but some may cause sedation or even agitation in children.
Had to throw this in too in case you missed it because it did happen kind of late Friday.
Yeah.
David Ortiz has been released from the hospital finally. Big Papi will continue his rehab at home. He's recovering, of course, from 3 surgeries. He was shot down in the Dominican Republic back on the 9th of June. So it's been a long road for Big Papi. He posted for the first time on Instagram since the incident and said, quote, "Being at home and look at my family celebrating that I'm here safe. It's priceless. Thanks for all the prayers. Too bad I can't crush food yet. But don't worry, Papi, you will soon."
Aww.
All right, another quick break. Coming up, being an internet troll is paying off for some people. We'll explain.
Don't get any ideas, Keith. And Keith will explain his forecast. That's coming up next. Every Saturday night, a couple of Maine friends are at the racetrack trying to get across that finish line first.
Yeah, and the competition between the two has made them like brothers. They're not really related. Samantha Sugarman has the story tonight, though, about a life-changing event that is bringing them even closer together than they already are.
Engines blaring, tires screeching, the smell of car fumes in the wind. It's a night at the track, and number 95 is in the first race.
There you go, bud.
Benjamin Jenkins at the wheel, George Walker as his pit crew.
We basically got into each other on the track.
The duo met right here at Speedway 95 when Walker crashed into Jenkins during a race. That started a high-speed friendship spanning the past 4 years. This year is different, though. Walker isn't racing because his doctors have told him not to.
At this point, I'm down to about 15% on my kidneys.
He's in kidney failure, in need of a transplant. But he has found a donor right here at the track.
Ben is my donor. Ben is my savior, that's for sure.
We never imagined we would be a match, let alone almost 100% match. It's unreal. It's pretty cool.
After testing, the friends found out they are the closest non-familial match for kidney donation. It's not lost on Walker that if not for Jenkins, he may still be on the transplant list, waiting and wishing.
It's unbelievable. I think about it every single day, how lucky I am for it.
They've dedicated this racing season to organ donation and kidney disease awareness, saying it's the sentiment, not the spelling, that counts.
When we're not here on this earth anymore, wouldn't it be great to save somebody else's life?
As for life after surgery?
Well, we're going to pick off where we left off last year, him trying to wreck me, and we're going to go back racing next year.
Years of being racing friends, now becoming life-saving friends at this racetrack. In Herman, Samantha Sugarman, News Center, Maine.
All right, so the date for the kidney transplant surgery hasn't been set just yet, but the two are expecting to know much more next month, so it's coming up. Meantime, Benjamin will be out of work for 3 to 5 months after the surgery. George is hosting a benefit dinner and silent auction to support the Jenkins family during that time, a date to be determined on that as well. So we'll try and keep you posted on all of that stuff.
Oh,
pretty darn cool.
I know, very cool.
All right, let's talk about the weather. Keith is here, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, it's awesome that you're here, but mostly I was talking about the weather being awesome.
Right.
You know.
Confusion.
Right.
And it's a little early. This weekend isn't as much of a lock as previous have been this early. But if we get another one in a row, that'd be like 6 or so.
Oh no, I think we said 6 last.
6 or 7.
I think
now I have to go back.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to check.
Yeah.
That's actually a hard thing to check on the records because you'd have to look through like the hourlies. You know what I mean? It's not as easy.
I think you can do it.
I'll take a look. All right, no, well, let's think of it this way. The first good one we had was not the 4th of July weekend, but the weekend before. Remember, because we led into it. Okay, so how many weekends is that?
I'll look on my phone while you.
All right, I'll do the weather and you can do that.
Okay.
And we'll reconvene at a later date. Current temperatures 84 in Portland, 87 in Sanford, 89 in Freiburg. Dew points are high out there, though, and so the result is the current heat index in a lot of spots is in the low 90s. Sanford, Bangor, Caribou at 86. Feels like 87 in Wisconsin and 87 in Portland. So if you're outside, you'll notice that. You've noticed that through the day. And tomorrow will be another humid day. And if anything, it'll be a little bit warmer. A couple of showers out there just moving through Machias right now, Eastport. And probably going to miss Lubec. Just a few of them. They're waning, though, in intensity as the sun angle goes down a bit here. So not a whole lot going on. This is very similar to what we'll see tomorrow, just a couple of scattered showers and thunderstorms around. But the story really tomorrow is going to be the heat. And overnight tonight is mild. And that's a key, a hallmark, if you will, to a lot of our hottest days in Maine, as we have to kind of start warm. It's hard for us to come over, a 40-degree delta. So instead, we start around 70. So now we have to get 20 degrees or so. We'll do that pretty quickly through the day. Again, most of us get into the 90s by the afternoon. Isolated shower or thunderstorm. A line might try to get into western Maine in the evening, and then that peters out. And then Wednesday is only half the day that's going to be warm. But that first half of the day, I think, will be stifling, because we'll get into the mid-80s, very high humidity before this front, and then we kind of wash it away with some thunderstorms Wednesday afternoon, and then we're in better shape Thursday by about midday, and it's a drier air mass. But again, not cool, still in the 80s. Forecast highs tomorrow, low 90s. I could buy 94, 95 here, and maybe into this zone here, but most of us are going to be around 90, exception being Rockland and Bar Harbor. I'm sorry, but you'll probably be okay with that. Overall, once this pattern shifts and we get this front through Thursday afternoon, Friday, and as I mentioned, the weekend at this point looking good. It's not a complete lock. There won't be any moisture, but it's pretty much a lock that it will be a nice weekend. It's just a question of how nice is nice. Lee, what you got?
It says 5. That doesn't
Could
make
that be
sense.
right?
It's got to be more than 5, right? It feels like it's more than 5.
It does feel that way. I'll have to check to see if the weekend before that was any good. I remember it turned the corner around the 4th of July, but the weekend before.
Right.
So I'll retire to my nerdery and let you know what I find. But in the meantime, tomorrow's hot. And again, don't sleep on Wednesday. Wednesday's, it's only half the day, because then thunderstorms are going to come through. But you know the day I'm talking about, where it's going to be rainy later, but it's just like, it's just stifling and
As you
flat.
said, close.
Yeah,
It'll be very
exactly.
close.
So that'll be Wednesday. And then after that, in good shape
Okay.
through the week.
So I get over that little hump.
We'll take it.
All right, Keith, thanks. We've all heard this line before. Don't believe everything you read online.
Right. That message becoming more and more true by the day, as regular people could soon be paid to troll. We'll take a closer look.
Unfortunately, online trolls are nothing new, but some new entrepreneurs have come up with a frightening new idea: internet trolls for hire. Let's connect the dots. If you're not familiar, an online troll is someone who posts messages designed to offend and provoke a knee-jerk reaction. You probably think it's some sad person sitting in their basement hiding behind a keyboard, but a new report from the Washington Post reveals some are actually hired guns. Started in the Philippines, troll farms are hired by politicians, companies, and celebrities to boost their profiles and attack anyone they don't like. The farms create hundreds of fake profiles, and in between the normal-looking posts about lunch and a hot new track, the fake profile will unleash an attack on the target of your choice. Practice is showing signs of going global. Experts say they expect troll farms to play a role in the 2020 election. Another sign, if we really needed one, that you probably shouldn't believe everything you see online. Connecting the dots, I'm Larry Seward for H-Town Rush.
Any negativity I sort of just disregard anyway when it's personally directed. When it's a conversation we're having on our Facebook live stream, we try to
Right.
discuss that. But
You know, what's so bad about this too is like, so it's you see a lot of negative stuff, and it's kind of easy to just go, okay, I'm just not going to read that. But some of it's positive, but it's not true.
right.
True. Or it's going for something that you're particularly interested in, and it's going to twist your view in the way that they want. This is what the whole Cambridge Analytica thing was all about in the last election. So holy smokes, just the only safe website is ours. I mean, right?
It's credible.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
No trolls there. except
78% of the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, now to a really close call for a cow and a calf in Alaska. All right, moose, cow and calf. The video comes from Anchorage. The police department there watches the mama and the calf, man, fall, but they didn't get hit, and they were able to scurry away. The Post said, "This is a great reminder. We share this beautiful place with all kinds of wildlife. They're always around. Keep an eye out and be safe." Oh man, that was close. Thank goodness they're okay.
That was so close. Good thing he was paying attention.
Yeah.
Oh, poor
All
little
right.
guy.
Cindy's here. Let's see what's going on at 5:30.
Yeah, some people in Kingfield are really upset. They had a local parade and somebody entered a float that a lot of people are kind of upset about. It was super political and it basically sent a really anti-immigrant message. They say that does not fairly represent their town. We'll have the latest on that controversy. And someone else besides Siri may be listening when you talk to your phone. Yeah. This is happening, an admission today from Apple that has everybody talking. Those stories and much more ahead on News Center at 5:30.
That has everybody talking and a lot of people listening.
A lot more people listening, yeah. That's for sure. We'll see you both at 5:30. We're back with Braindrops after this.
Wow, that's creepier than I imagined. Michael and I worked on that, and I was like, I want to make it real creepy. It came out. It definitely came out.
This show brought to you by Michael Gagne, because he made all the graphics for my story today
Great
as well.
Stuff. All right, this is cool. A college student studying to be an archaeologist, obviously, discovered a 65-million-year-old Triceratops. Yeah, let me say this right. Triceratops skull. Yes. I want to put an extra syllable in there for some reason. But what's cool about this is the kid is still in school, but he's got basically what would be equivalent of internship here, an expedition, with a company called the Fossil Excavators, which is pretty straightforward. You know what they do. Scroll down a little bit, though, because what I want to show you, and I thought was really interesting, keep going, is that this kid, this is him when he's a little kid, okay, and he was obsessed with dinosaurs and bones, and it reminded me, like, in science a lot of times you get one great teacher or you get captivated by one thing. He went to, you know, a museum and saw it, and that's what becomes their job.
Yeah.
With that in mind, I just hold on, don't roll it yet, don't roll it yet. Oh, Liam, why do I have a code here? Okay.
You remember the code.
All right, let's go to the picture of me. This is me on the top of Mount Washington when I was, oh gosh, I don't know, 15, 14?
You look so different.
I'm wearing a Canucks jacket. But weather was my love from a young age, and I had a great 8th grade science teacher. So then, and then I got an internship on the top of Mount Washington, and it just kind of rolled from there. And I try to encourage kids to, if they like something, if they something really cool in science, you can make a job out of it most of the time, right? So you just gotta stay with it. What do you think?
Remember that thing that was viral? You didn't like me at my, so you don't deserve me at my.
Yeah.
That's this.
I don't know if you consider it a glow up, but anything with a Canucks jacket is an upward direction.
Very good. I love a good throwback picture on a Monday. Thanks, Keith. News Center Maine at 5:30 starts right now.